October 1st. My name is Bill McCamley, and I am a state representative from Las Cruces and Mesilla with your legislative update today. It is day 2 of our special session, which we are trying to address a massive hole in the state of New Mexico's budget. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the first day. If you want, there's a video on Facebook and YouTube giving my update for the first day. But today, we found out early this morning that the Senate had gone till 12:30 in the morning, this morning or last night, depending on how you want to look at it, passing 7 or 8 proposals to deal with the budget hole that we have, the $500 to $600 million budget hole we have this year and next year. So we started at 10 a.m. in the morning. We spent 2 or 3 hours on a crime bill, which the governor is proposing for the election cycle. And like I said, if you want to hear more about that, you can watch the video from yesterday. It did pass 68 to nothing. This wasn't the death penalty or 3 strikes you're out. It was a bill to give life sentences to people that commit certain acts against minors. Pretty uncontroversial. Some of the lawyers in the House had a lot of questions about it, though, and we spent some time doing that. We then went into committee. Now, my committee, the Ways and Means Committee, which deals with a lot of the tax issues, had 4 of the bills that John Arthur Smith, who is the Senate person in charge of a lot of these negotiations, brought over. I volunteered to present his bills, even though the first 2 didn't know a lot about eventually. We got 2 of those passed, got them down to the floor of the House, and got 1 of them passed as a compromise to go up to the governor. Hopefully she'll sign it. So this bill actually froze increases in funding to the Firefighters Equipment Fund and the Retirement Health Care Authority. And though this was one of the easier compromises we had, it still is tough for me to go up and sponsor this because these are real-life cuts that have real-life consequences to people in the communities here in New Mexico. And that's one thing I really want to focus on over and over. These cuts aren't just belt-tightening or government being more efficient. When we stop increases in funding for firefighters, if they can't buy eventually new oxygen tanks or new hoses or whatever, that could have an effect on public safety and people's homes and property and lives. So I don't take these cuts lightly or flippantly. And I hope that the rest of my colleagues up here remember that these cuts are real. So we went back up to committee later where it was a really tough one for me. I presented another bill that made it through the Senate. This was more partisan. This was to delay more tax cuts for very, very large corporations that we had started in 2014. It took 5 years. The proposal was to have them go for 2014 and 15 and 16, delay the last 2 years of the cuts for 2 more years, which would allow the state to get more revenue, probably about $25 million a year, and use that revenue to help offset some of the other cuts we'll probably make in the future in this session. So these are things like cuts to schools, cuts to local fire departments, police departments, domestic violence shelters, that sort of thing. The Republicans killed it on a mostly party line vote, and that's really tough for me because all we were asking, not even to increase taxes, was to delay the implementation of these tax cuts and ask some of these very, very large corporations to be part of our community. You know, teachers are going to be bearing the brunt of these cuts. People that work in domestic violence shelters, homeless veterans, all these groups are going to be bearing the brunt of these cuts. And we just wanted to ask some of these corporations just to delay their increasing benefits over time, and the Republicans killed it. So that's really frustrating for me. We had a proposal on another bill that had come up. We ended up tabling that, and what that means right now is these negotiations are going on. So even though the Senate has adjourned, their leadership is just now getting back in contact with both the Democrat and Republican leaders in the House of Representatives, and I'm hoping and praying that tomorrow we'll come in and have a little bit more of a vision about what's going to be happening with a bill that hopefully we can all get behind. I mean, these are all going to be hard. Nothing is going to be easy in this situation, but if we don't get it figured out, number one, we stay longer, which costs the taxpayer $50,000 a day as we stay here for special session, but also it makes the bond rating agency Moody's a lot more non-confident in the state of New Mexico. And we definitely don't want to see our bond rating go down, because that's like the state's credit rating going down. So whenever we want to borrow money in the future for things like big infrastructure projects at schools and universities, it'll cost you, the taxpayer, more money. So that's kind of where we're right now. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I know this is complicated. I will do my very best to answer them for you if you comment on the Facebook or YouTube sites. Please let me know, though, and I hope everyone has a safe and good weekend, and I will try to get back at you tomorrow if we come closer to coming up with a deal. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye.